So, I never understood what motivated Bonanno to write this book. He didn't need it. He didn't need the money. Why he did it, I don't know. It was an egotistical thing, but it kind of ruined his legacy in many ways because, he was a stand-up guy till the end. He never ratted on anybody. He never testified against anybody. I don't think he provided any information. So why did he write a book that, eventually caused so much damage to so many people in that life? I don't know. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is good on this end, and as always, we give God all the praise, honor, and glory for that. And it's summertime, officially. First day of summer, it's great. Summer months are here. I'm not going to be enjoying the summer here in my home in Newport Beach. I'll be leaving next week to go to the United Kingdom. I think most of you know that. I've been talking about it. 25-city tour, very excited about it. My family will be coming over with me. So in between a lot of work, hopefully we'll get some downtime and get to enjoy that beautiful country. We're all looking forward to that, but I'm going to miss home. Be gone almost the whole summer, but we will be still filming YouTube from the United Kingdom. We're not going to miss out. You'll still be getting at least 2 a week, maybe more. Going to go around town a little bit and do a few things that we think will be different. Going to tell some stories. Might get into the Cray brothers a little bit there. Those two guys made quite a name for themselves. Might even go to the town where Peaky Blinders was filmed. I've been getting a lot of invitations from people to come and visit them. Certain places, show me some of the locations that the brilliant TV series was filmed. We're looking forward to that. I understand the after party, they're going to have Earth, Wind, and Fire after my first event on July 2nd. It's going to be a big gala event, red carpet, the whole thing. Some celebrities are attending. So we're excited about that. And then we do another 20 some odd cities. So all around the UK. We're going to Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and then up and down England itself. So we're really looking forward to it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully people enjoy it. And I always enjoy entertaining and informing people. We're going to be doing a Q&A. People can come and ask me any question that they want, and that's always an exciting part of it. So that's coming up. But again, don't worry. We will be filming YouTube videos at least twice a week, maybe even more, from the UK in between everything else that I'm doing. My book, Mafia, Democracy, I just want to thank all of you who have read it, who have bought it, and for the reviews that you're sending. You're getting it. You're understanding what I am trying to get across, and that is to hold our public officials accountable. Very important. We can't allow them to lie. We can't allow them to make campaign promises and break them later on. We can't allow them to act in their own interests and not the interests of the country and the people that they serve. So that's what the book is about. Very explicit, very detailed, bipartisan, right down the middle. We don't pull any punches, and thank you for enjoying it. If you haven't gotten it, mafiademocracy.com. Go on there right now. You can get a free chapter. So what are we doing today? The Mafia Commission case was obviously a groundbreaking case, and really when you look at all the stuff that's been going on, it's one of the principal cases that broke the back of the Mafia in New York in many, many ways. Was it solely responsible? No. I said this before. It wasn't John Gotti, although John Gotti, contributed a little bit to exposing some things with, tape recordings and everything else, and certainly bringing attention to that life. But he wasn't responsible for the downfall of that life. I know people have said that. I don't believe it. It was really the Racketeering Act, the Bail Reform Act, the Sentencing Reform Act. All of those things contributed to really, really, really putting a dent in my former life in New York. And the Mafia Commission case, they were indicted, I believe, in 85 or 86, I don't remember exactly. I was indicted around the same time. I was in prison with most all of the guys at that time. They didn't get bail. I had actually been indicted by Rudy Giuliani on a major racketeering case before he indicted them on the commission case. Fortunately, I was acquitted in that case. But the commission case really was something else. It exposed or really brought to light the existence of the commission. And, they talked about it in tape recordings. I believe that in the beginning of the trial, the defendants even had to admit through their attorneys, not from their own mouths, but through their attorneys, that the Mafia even existed. And that, of course, is a betrayal of omerta. We're not even supposed to admit that the Mafia exists. That's what the actual oath of omerta means. It's an oath of silence. You don't ever betray the oath. You don't ever even admit that Mafia exists. And in this trial, through their attorneys, because the defendants wouldn't do it themselves, not from their own mouths, but through their attorneys, they admitted that the Mafia existed. And the reason they did that is because on the tapes, they talked about it too much, and they couldn't not admit that it existed and be credible throughout the trial. So the attorneys convinced them. They said, you got to admit it because it's coming out through your own mouths all over the tapes. So they had to do that. It was part of the strategy in the trial defense. But before I get into the commission trial, I'm going to do this in two parts. What led up to the commission trial? What gave Giuliani the foundation, I would say, to proceed with such an indictment of the entire commission? And I know we did a little bit of a quiz about it, and let me tell you what it was. It was Joe Bonanno's book, A Man of Honor. So for those of you that voted for that, you got it right. And I think to give you some good insight into this, I want to talk about Joe Bonanno today, because Giuliani told me on a radio broadcast that we did with my friend Joe Pagliarulo, we were on together about maybe 6-7 months ago. He said straight out that it was Bonanno's book that gave him the blueprint, the foundation, to go after the entire commission. And Giuliani also told me that his motivation to go after the mob was Bonanno's book. He was so incensed as an Italian American that Bonanno made the Mafia look so good, like we were a family of benevolent people. It bothered him so much, and you know what? It bothered some Italian Americans also, that he decided at that point in time to go after the entire Mafia, to crush it. And he did a good job in putting a lot of people away, I would say. At one point in time, Giuliani was an enemy of mine. Some of you know we've patched it up. 30 years later, he wrote a foreword to the book, Mafia Democracy, that I was very pleased with. He told the truth. He said he's watched me over the past 25 years. He believed that this transformation I made was sincere. I appreciate that coming from him. But he wrote a great foreword. And so I advise you to read it. I think you'll enjoy it. So I want to talk about Joe Bonanno today. Very interesting story. And of course, he was one of the main guys in the foundation of the Mafia Cosa Nostra here in this country. And he goes back to Italy. He was actually born in the same town in Sicily where the Mafia was born. It was born in Sicily. He came from the same town as Masseria and Maranzano. And Bonanno actually came over here to Brooklyn at an early age. He came here with his parents. He was actually undocumented at the time. He came into the country illegally, I would say. And they lived here for about 10 years, and then he went back to Italy. And when he went back to Italy, that's when he met Maranzano and Masseria, I think, during that time in Italy. And then he decided to come back to America again. And the reason for that was because Mussolini was really cracking down on the Mafia. And he had started to get involved with Maranzano, and they wanted to leave because Mussolini was going after the Mafia. A couple of people left as a result of Mussolini's crackdown. So he comes back to Brooklyn, and when he gets to Brooklyn, he joins Maranzano's crew. And he was kind of an enforcer for Maranzano, a protector, I would say. And then at that time, this was during Prohibition, and I've said it many, many times, it was Prohibition that made the Mafia strong and made it an organization in this country, because that's what gave them the finances, the money, the wherewithal to become an organization. So Maranzano and Masseria, they were warring at the time. From 1930 to 1931, I believe, there was a big war, the Castellamarese War. Masseria kind of represented the younger faction of the Mafia at that time, the Young Turks, they called them. And he had Albert Anastasia, he had Genovese, he had Lucky Luciano, Carlo Gambino. They were all part of his crew. And Maranzano kind of represented the old school Italian guys, the ones that were kind of the mustache Petes. They believed that they wouldn't do business with anybody if you weren't Italian. They were kind of, you pay homage to the Don kind of guy. And the two factions went to war. And it was a bloody war between 1930 and 1931. At one point in time, Lucky Luciano believed that this war was senseless. People were getting killed for no reason, and that they should really end the war and join forces. And Bonanno was with Maranzano at the time. So Luciano goes to Maranzano and he says, look, I'll kill Masseria for you. I want to end the war. I'll kill him for you. I'll get over it. But you got to promise at that point in time, we'll bring this thing together, we'll work peacefully, and we'll earn some money. And Luciano was smart in that regard. So he makes a deal with Maranzano. Again, Bonanno was part of that. And he kills Masseria. I think it was a famous killing in a restaurant. Masseria was playing cards and about to eat, and they came in and they assassinated him there. And then Maranzano gets together with Luciano, and they really form the Mafia as we knew it today. And that's when all of the authority in the Mafia was formed. The boss, the underboss, the consigliere, the caporegimes, and the soldier. And those are the official ranks. It was formed during that time. Maranzano had a lot to do with that. He brought it together, as well as Luciano and Bonanno. They were all part of it. And the only thing that bothered some of the guys is that Maranzano made himself the capo de tutti capo. He was the boss of bosses, and everybody had to pay homage to him. And they didn't like that. And at the time, Maranzano did divide the Mafia up into the 5 families of New York at that point in time. Things are going along okay, but again, Luciano, hey, why do we got to pay homage to this guy? So he plans now to kill Maranzano. And he does. He kills Maranzano. I think there was a famous scene in a couple of movies where he goes up into Maranzano's office disguised as police officers, and they kill him in his office. And now we have the 5 families, and Bonanno takes over the Maranzano family. He takes it over, so he becomes the boss of that family. It was Luciano that later formed the commission. Right after they kill Maranzano, Luciano comes in and he forms the commission. So now they have a ruling body over all 5 families comprised of the bosses. So things are going along pretty well for quite some time. And then what happens, Joe Profaci dies in the early 60s. And for some reason, there was a play against Profaci. And Maiocco took over Profaci's family. He and Bonanno were very close. So they devise a scheme. They want to kill Gambino and Lucchese. And they give the contract to Joe Colombo. Now, Joe Colombo didn't like what he saw. What does he do? He goes to Carlo Gambino and Lucchese, and he alerts them to the fact that they were going to get assassinated, and he got the contract. So when that happens, Gambino goes to the commission, and they want to have permission to bring Bonanno in, and they're probably going to kill him for planning that assassination. Bonanno doesn't come in. He runs away. He goes into hiding. At the same time, he was being sought after to go to a grand jury. I think Morgenthau was a DA in New York, and he was trying to bring him in, subpoena him for a grand jury. So Bonanno disappears at that point in time. He's gone, right? And he disappears for quite some time. And then he resurfaces, I think, in 1966. And when he resurfaces, he makes up a story, and it was a false story, that he had been kidnapped by a couple of guys in the Buffalo crew. They kidnapped him. It wasn't true. It was a false story. And he tries to get his family back together. They give him a pass for some reason, and he tries to put the Bonanno family back together. Somebody else had been in control for a while. Bonanno's trying to get his crew together. After about a year or so, they almost come to blows. Another war almost started. Bonanno says, you know what? I don't want any part of this. He says, I'm retiring from the life. Now, you can't retire from that life. You can't quit the life. And I know people. I did it. I didn't go into a program. I didn't do any of that. I did quit successfully. This was a different situation. I didn't go in and formally tell everybody I'm quitting. It just was the way it happened. I'm not going to retell my story right now. But Bonanno is given a pass. They said to him, okay, we'll let you quit. But if you come back in any way, shape, or form, we're going to kill you, number one. And they advised him to leave town. He could never stay in New York and keep his life. He could never stay in New York and live. There's no way. He would have gotten killed at some point in time. So he takes off to Arizona. And you know the fascinating thing? Up till this point in time, he was never arrested, never charged with any crime, never went to prison. He was the only guy I know through all that time. Him and Carlo Gambino, I think, are in the same place. He never gets arrested. He never gets charged with any crime the whole time he was in the Mafia. And he never went to prison up until that time. So he leaves, he heads out to Arizona. While he was out in Arizona, he got charged with something. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I think he did do a little time, maybe a year or so, a little bit more than that. He decides to write a book, A Man of Honor, the one I mentioned early on. And in that book, people were very upset about it, like I said. He kind of makes the Mafia out to be a family, and he himself was like, the father of the family. And he doesn't mention Mafia in the book, as far as I recall. This is the book that really got Giuliani upset when he read it. He goes out to see Bonanno, and he actually brings him in. I think he subpoenas him to talk about it. Bonanno refuses to testify, refuses to speak. So, I never understood what motivated Bonanno to write this book. He didn't need it. He didn't need the money. Why he did it, I don't know. It was an egotistical thing, but it kind of ruined his legacy in many ways because, he was a stand-up guy till the end. He never ratted on anybody. He never testified against anybody. I don't think he provided any information. So why did he write a book that, eventually caused so much damage to so many people in that life? I don't know. Had this discussion with my father. He knew Joe Bonanno. Obviously, he knew a lot of those guys. Remember, my dad was born in 1917, and he was in Brooklyn throughout all of these years when all of this stuff was happening. And he knew a lot of the guys, and I talked to him, and, he wasn't a fan of Joe Bonanno, so I'm going to be honest with you. And he couldn't understand why Joe wrote this book, and he was upset about it, of course. He thinks that, Joe Bonanno, in a way, hurt him in some ways. I don't know if that was true or not, and it doesn't even pay to get into the discussion about it, but my dad was not a fan, but he told me a lot of what I relayed here today, he verified for me at the time, and that's why I'm, speaking about it. But at any rate, it is what it is, and the next part of this will be the commission case itself, and we'll show how Giuliani put that together, how the tapes were so devastating, how Carmine Persico actually defended himself in the trials, how Tony Ducks and Sally Avellino really heard through some, tape recordings or surveillance equipment that was installed in Sally's Jaguar. So we'll talk about all of that in the upcoming video. And that's it for today. So how do I always leave you? The same way, and I can't emphasize this more. Please, ladies, be safe. Guys, you too, but be safe. Be always aware of your surroundings. Look around you in parking lots, in restaurants. Watch the jewelry and the purses that you're, wearing, especially in the big cities with these gangs, coming around now and tracking people wearing expensive jewelry and women with, nice clothing and expensive purses. It's dangerous out there. A lot of stuff like that going on in LA where people are getting robbed and beat up. It's terrible. Be safe. Be healthy. Can't emphasize that more. Got to be healthy. And I really mean this. God bless you all. I mean that sincerely when I say it. I don't just say it. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless all of you. And God willing, I'll see you all next time.